USCFL Network to remind you that beginning May 15th, we will present the Season 5 She-Ra Showdown. Join my senior moderator, Bob Wilson, as he presides over this final competition between the She-Ra of yesterday and the She-Ra of today. We have lightly slate the theme and are going to start fresh. It's a whole new ballgame. You on YouTube are welcome to join in and participate in the action. Don't miss this exciting final battle between the two She-Ras. Don't miss it.
The story you're about to see is a big, fat lie. No names have been changed to protect anybody.
The greatest cartoon characters of all time. Classic television. Exciting football in the spring. This is the USCFL Network, celebrating 40 years of excellence.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the USCFL Network, in association with YouTube, presents the USCFL Postgame Show. Here's once again is Robbie Graham.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans. This is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network. The first round of competition is complete. From next Friday on, the teams will face each other based on their performances on the field as the 8 winning teams take on the 8 losing teams. We will show you how round 2 will look in this video. As for this week's action, Both games were exciting and high-scoring. After we take a commercial break, we will talk about and show the highlights of Game 7 between the Warner Brothers All-Stars and the Cartoon Network All-Stars.
You never know when you'll need a big wagon. And the 1967 American Motors builds big wagons. See them at your American Motors Rambler dealer now.
When Charlie sees the sort of girl he'd like to wine and dine, he uses new Wild Root to get her every time.
This is new Wild Root. Comes in a tube. Has a totally new formula. Positively no drying alcohol. Absolutely non-greasy. Dissolves in your hands. Won't show in your hair. Keeps it neat, manageable. For handsome hair, new Wild Root. Comes in a tube. Has a new formula. Dissolves in your hands. Won't show in your hair.
I'd like some gasoline, please.
Yes, sir.
Dennis. Dennis Day, you in a Texaco uniform?
My name is Rodney. Fill it up with New Sky, Chief, sir?
But you're Dennis Day.
It can drive down the cost of driving and save you money.
Money?
Yes, sir. New Sky Chief does one thing better than any other leading gasoline. It keeps valves like this from getting like this. You see, with fewer harmful deposits on your valves, you can get better mileage, and the chance of expensive repairs is much less.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll try a gallon.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Benny.
Wait a minute. If you're not Dennis Day, how did you know I was Jack Benny?
Who else would buy 1 gallon?
Texaco sells more gasoline than anybody else. So why a New Sky Chief gasoline? Because we're first, and we have a big responsibility to drive down your cost of driving.
What a blue ribbon day.
Open a beer. What do you hear? Why, it sounds like Pabst. Listen here.
Pabst. Pabst.
Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer. Pabst is the beer that speaks for itself. It speaks with authority. It says, well done, now have a beer. It speaks of fellowship and good cheer. It says it in one word, listen here.
Pabst.
Blue Ribbon Beer.
Pabst speaks for itself. It says, well done, here's your refreshing reward. For all your blue ribbon moments, make it Pabst, because Pabst makes it perfect. Pabst Blue Ribbon, so much better for so little more.
To prove a point, I'm about to shave without using any water. Nothing to make my beard wet and soft but this, Rise. I'm actually getting a clean shave. The reason? The moisture in Rise. Slowly, Rise seeps moisture into your beard and holds it there for as long as it takes you to shave. Now, if I can get a shave like this using Rise with no water, imagine what you can do using Rise with water.
Welcome back. In the USCFL, 6 teams are affiliated with Disney or Warner Brothers. You have Jim Henson, Marvel Comics, and now Fox associated with Disney. Then you have Hanna-Barbera, DC Comics, and Cartoon Network associated with Warner Brothers. So when any 2 of these teams play against each other, We often refer to these games as battles between corporate cousins. That was the case in Game 7, as in the first round of this year's competition. The first round is always preset, and for this year, we picked the teams that used to play at a time when the USCFL had 2 conferences and 4 divisions. This was how the luck of the draw took place. And now, any 2 of the 16 teams can play for the USCFL championship, regardless of what conference or divisions they used to be in. Just like all over America, Newark, New Jersey was hit hard by the pandemic, and fans of both teams got to witness a good game that almost went into overtime. After a Cartoon Network field goal, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter en route to a 21-9 halftime lead. But Cartoon Network came back to life thanks to 2 touchdown runs by second-year running back Steven Universe, making his debut as a starter. Steven Universe rushed for 160 yards on 32 carries and 2 touchdowns. Daffy Duck also rushed for 2 touchdowns and 133 yards on 28 carries and earned game MVP honors. All 4 quarterbacks this week passed for over 400 yards each. Bugs Bunny threw for 455 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Johnny Bravo threw for 417 yards and 1 touchdown. The game was close right down to the final seconds. With less than a minute left and trailing by 3, Cartoon Network kicker Susan Test from Johnny Test tried to kick a 58-yarder to send the game into overtime and missed just wide right. We will include that moment in the highlights. And here is how the scoring took place. After we take a commercial break, we will discuss and present the highlights of Game 8 between the Comic Strip All-Stars and the DC Comics All-Stars.
Oh, what a beautiful day for Frankenberry, the world's super sweet new cereal.
Phooey! Here's the world's super sweet new cereal called Chocula.
Bickle, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monstrous strawberry flavor.
Well, I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Frankenberry.
Called Chocula.
Meow.
Frankenberry. Called Chocula.
50 to 60 years ago, people were introduced to peanut butter for the first time. They looked it over carefully. The daring and courageous bought it. Well, children loved it. But Ma and Pa were more critical. They discovered it had several drawbacks. It became oily and sticky and didn't stay fresh very long. It was rather hard to digest. It didn't taste like peanuts. Grown-ups never became peanut butter fans until 1933, when a new kind of peanut butter started to appear in grocery stores. It looked different. It smelled different. It tasted different. It had practically nothing in common with the old-style product.
How many kinds of pumps at your station? Only 2? Signal has 3. The third pump has Signal's mid-ethyl gasoline. Richer than regular, cheaper than premium. 4 out of 5 users go farther with Signal's mid-ethyl at the third pump. Really goes. More and more ladies are discovering Signal's new third pump. The third pump contains Signal's mid-ethyl gasoline. Richer than regular, cheaper than premium. 4 out of 5 users go farther with Signal's mid-ethyl at the third pump. Worth looking into.
June 23rd, 1927. The modern age has arrived. The coffee grinder goes to the attic, and the fresh taste of home-ground coffee goes with it. And people do without home-ground coffee. Before long, home-ground taste is forgotten. But not forever. January 15th, 1969, freeze-dried Sanka brand coffee is introduced. The beans are ground, then fresh perked and freeze-dried. Home-ground taste returns.
The LTD is an amazing new Ford. A luxury car without the luxury price. Test drive it soon at your nearby Ford dealers.
Welcome back. This game would ultimately determine which team would play against which team in round 2. Remember, from this point out, the schedule will be written out by how each team performs. And in Game 8, DC Comics performed so well that they will have the number 1 seed in round 2. In Kansas City, the Comic Strip All-Stars were looking to also be the number 1 seed, but ran into a brick wall that is the Justice League. In their last game last year, the Comic Strip All-Stars became the first team in 12 years to suffer a shutout in a 20-0 shutout by Warner Brothers. But after 3 field goals in the first quarter in this game by both teams, Wonder Woman showed how wonderful she is by throwing an 80-yard strike to the Huntress. In the second quarter, DC Comics took a commanding lead early thanks to a pick six by Catwoman. The comic strip All-Stars came back when Charlie Brown threw a routine screen pass to Archie Andrews, which he turned into a marathon 64-yard touchdown reception. Oddly enough, Charlie Brown rushed for more yards than Archie Andrews, including an 8-yard touchdown run off of the quarterback draw. DC Comics led 33-24 at halftime, but it was DC Comics all the way and held the comic strip All-Stars scoreless in the third quarter to win 51-34. Both Charlie Brown and Wonder Woman threw for 423 yards and 3 touchdowns each. Charlie Brown also rushed for 116 yards on 13 carries and 1 touchdown. Archie Andrews only carried the ball 4 times for 47 yards. However, he had 4 receptions for 108 yards and a touchdown. Catwoman earned game MVP honors for the pick six, along with 2 fumble recoveries, which both resulted in scores. The DC Comics All-Stars will face the number 16 seed in round 2, but the 85 combined total points scored is the best so far this season. And here is how the scoring took place. After we take a commercial break, we will review the scores of round 1 and show you the schedule for round 2, along with the answer to last week's trivia question and this week's question.
You are about to know the thrill of seeing that which has never been seen before. You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world, the world of 1960. For the first time in history, you'll see not one, not two, but 3 completely new kinds of Ford cars for 1960. A wonderful new world of Fords. First, representing the 1960 Fords, the finest Fords of a lifetime, the magnificent new Galaxy.
Live a wondrous new life in the Fords of a lifetime. The finest new Fords of a lifetime. In a beautiful, wonderful new world of Fords.
Beautiful from any point of view, worth more from every point of value. The 1960 Fords open up a whole wonderful new world of styling, elegance, and built for people comfort. And now, the world's most wanted car.
Thunderbird, the finest of fine cars, the last word in Wish It Were Mine cars, the dream car of the wonderful new world of Fords.
The 1960 Thunderbird. Finally, the car everyone's been waiting to see. The new size Ford, the Falcon.
The Falcon, the new size Ford Falcon, you'll find that the new size Ford Falcon's the easiest car in the wide world to own.
Here's full comfort for 6 adults in a car that'll give you up to 30 miles a gallon. A new size car with a new size price. It's the easiest car in the world to own, the Ford Falcon. You can see these cars at your Ford dealer showroom now. The Falcon, the Thunderbird, and the 1960 Fords.
There's a big, wide, wonderful world of new Fords, newly proportioned for you Fords. Oh, beautiful, wonderful, beautiful, wonderful, beautiful, wonderful new world of Ford.
Welcome back. I did forget to mention the next 4 characters of the 40 greatest characters in pop culture and USCFL history. And here they are. At number 28 is Gwen, wide receiver for Team Canada. Gwen instantly became a fan favorite when Total Drama Island debuted in 2007. Gwen made it to the finale, and in the US, it was Owen that won, but everywhere else, it was Gwen who won. But after the first season, Gwen really provided a lot of total drama when she dumped Trent in season 2 and stole Duncan away from Courtney in season 3. But Gwen rolled with the punches and is still beloved today. In the USCFL, Gwen is also quickly leaving an impression as she is Team Canada's #1 receiver, which helps make Dizzy Izzy, as we call her, more confident and less dizzy. Gwen can also become the #1 receiver in the USCFL if she keeps up her ability to score points and fans. At number 27 is Xena, quarterback for the Sci-Fi All-Stars. The only live-action character to make this list, Xena showed off her amazing warrior skills on television. She is also popular in the LGBT community for her possible love for her companion, Gabriella. But Xena really poured on the hurt when it came to fighting evil while overcoming being evil herself at one point. In the USCFL, however, Xena has yet to make an impression on the gridiron. She has her moments, but she needs more of them before she can also call herself a warrior quarterback. At number 26 is Fat Albert, center for the Filmation All-Stars. In spite of the fact that he is the brainchild of Bill Cosby with the scandal he had recently, most people don't realize that Bill Cosby has a PhD in education, and he used Fat Albert as a vehicle to entertain and educate children. I can testify to the fact that I learned a lot from Fat Albert growing up and never missed an episode, as did many people my age who grew up in the 70s. Fat Albert was Filmation's longest-running show, airing for 12 seasons on CBS. Fat Albert also launched the idea to have a moral attached to episodes. He-Man, She-Ra, and Brave Star all followed suit. But in the USCFL, Fat Albert finally found a home with the Filmation All-Stars as its center. 6 of the Cosby kids are also on this team, except for the teenage version of Bill Cosby. And his "hey, hey, hey" catchphrase is as popular as it ever was. And at number 25 is Sonic the Hedgehog, quarterback for the modern cartoon All-Stars. Sonic was to Sega what Mario is to Nintendo. He will be celebrating his 30th anniversary next year. Sonic is still very popular in the video game industry and is also a popular television star with many versions of his series, as well as his recent motion picture debut back in February. His "I'm waiting" catchphrase from the 90s is still used today. This year, Sonic is playing his 15th season in the USCFL. Quarterbacks in this league are usually stars of their own shows, with just 4 exceptions. He could have been a wide receiver or even a tight end with his amazing speed. But as quarterback, he is also very potent. In 2008, and led by Sonic, the modern cartoon All-Stars and The Simpsons played the highest scoring game ever in USCFL history with a combined total of 185 points. Give Sonic a chance to show you how capable a field general he is. Speaking of He-Man a few moments ago, he is this week's honorable mention. He's a backup quarterback to his sister She-Ra, but he also possesses the same quarterback skills as his sister. He might not have done so back in Game 3, but in 2011, He-Man replaced She-Ra late in the first quarter of Go for the Gold 48 against the Smurfs. Trailing 26-9 in the fourth quarter, He-Man led the greatest comeback in league history as he threw 3 touchdown passes, along with his alter ego Prince Adam's rushing touchdown and She-Ra's alter ego Adora's field goal. When they were known as the Masters of Power, He-Man was responsible for a 31-7 fourth quarter trouncing to beat the Smurfs 40-33. Just like the 1958 NFL championship game between the Colts and Giants, which resulted in the first overtime game ever in NFL history, Go for the Gold 48 was the greatest game ever played in USCFL history. And the Masters of the Universe franchise is just as relevant now as it ever has been. This year, He-Man will come out with not 1, but 2 reboots. And let's hope that his reboots are good and will live up to the original 1983 series. He-Man deserves this opportunity. And now, here is a review of the scores in round 1. You will see a number by all 16 teams. These numbers represent their seeds for round 2, and you will see the schedule for round 2. This year, we will play out round 2 by having the number 8 ranked team play against the number 9 ranked team, and so on until we play the number 1 seeded team against the number 16 seeded team. And here is how round 2 will look. Before I give you the answer to last week's trivia question, there is a correction I need to make. Back in week 2, I said that there were 4 original female She-Ra characters whose names doesn't end in the letter A. I forgot that there were actually 5. Number 5 is Sweet Bee, a character who appeared in 2 episodes towards the end of the series. I apologize for the mistake. And now for the answer to last week's trivia question. We asked, true or false, on Animaniacs, the character known as Minerva Mink was once deemed too hot for TV. The answer is true. When Animaniacs aired on the Fox Kids network and later the Kids WB network, the nature of the show had a lot of adult humor as well as kids humor. But Minerva Mink was so hot and steamy, Warner Brothers had to take her out of the show completely because of her sexy look and nature. She appeared in just 2 episodes. Now for this week's question. Remember to write your answers down on paper as to not accidentally give away the correct answer in the comments section. For this question, the degree of difficulty is all pro, and the category is fighting for truth, justice, and a brand new car. Before George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Dean Cain, Superman first appeared in broadcasting on old-time radio in the 1940s. He was voiced by a man who would later become a famous television game show host in the 1950s. Which future game show host was it? Was it A, Jack Barry, B, Bud Collyer, C, Bob Barker, or D, Ralph Edwards? As always, we will give you the answer next week. And that will do it for week 4 and the first round of competition. Join us next week as we begin the second round, as we review and highlight the games between the Cartoon Network All-Stars against the Jim Henson All-Stars and the Comic Strip All-Stars against the Modern Cartoon All-Stars. Until then, take care, stay safe, wash your hands, keep your distance, and for heaven's sakes, don't drink the Clorox! And as always, I remain humbly, obediently yours. Goodbye for now.